Well, now let's get talking. Now, the expansion of digital economy has continued to evolve at a breakneck speed, creating many new economic opportunities in the corporate and business world, while solving societal problems. However, given the disruption in technological innovation globally, tax challenges arising from digitalization of the economy has been a topical issue on different forums, both locally and internationally. Now, in the light of this, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, that's CITN, has adopted global disruption, taxation, and digitalization with a view of assessing its implication for the socio-economic development as theme of its forthcoming annual conference for the year 2022. Well, let's really talk more about this and understand what it means. I have live in the studio Mrs. RUTH AROKOYO, who's the chairman, 24th ATC, and on the other side, I have the vice chairman of the ATC committee, who's Dr. Yemi Sonny. Thank you very much, sir, and thank you very much, madam, for joining us on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, I want to start with the forthcoming conference. Of course, I started with that conversation around digitalization and Nigeria's tax system. Tell us more about it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
The Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, CITN, is not unaware of the global disruptions globally. And Nigeria is not an exception. Nigeria is affected due to so many issues that are on ground. And that is what informed the theme for our next conference: global disruptions, digitalization, taxation, and socio-economic development. In this conference, we are trying to see how Nigeria will not be left out in the digital space, because that is the thing, that is where the world is going. So Nigeria must come on and leverage on the use of technology to be able to get as much as possible the needed revenue to drive the economy. Thank you.
Great. Now, I know you have something to say to buttress that point around digitalization of Nigeria. Why is CITN? Why are you looking at this time?
Yeah, when you look at the word, you know, the main word here is digitalization. And what is tax digitalization? What you are talking about here is transformation. And when you talk about the transformation, you're looking at transformation using digital technology, right? To probably collect data, establish trends, and be able to take informed decisions. So here, you'll be looking at how this transformation affects the tax policies, tax legislations, and tax administration. So these are the things that the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria has looked at to come up with this theme for this particular conference.
Before I go to details of venues and all of that, I'd like to also ask that many talk about improving tax net or increasing, bringing more people into that the tax net. Government has always talked about that, particularly at this time when we're looking at the non-oil sector. How would you react to this, and what are you doing to support government in achieving this?
Yes, the Chartered Institute of Taxation of Nigeria, as the body that is chartered and to regulate the practice of taxation in Nigeria, knows that we have a lot of would-be taxpayers, but they are not in the tax net yet. So we are trying to see how we can discuss and ensure that the tax net is widened. And one of the ways by which we can do this one is to leverage on technology, use of data, to be able to bring in more taxpayers, so as not to overburden the people that are honest right now that are in the tax net. So that is what the Chartered Institute of Taxation is doing, to advise government, taxpayers, and even practitioners on how we will be able to bring in more taxpayers to contribute to the development of this great nation.
Dr. Sonny, I don't know if you will buy to that. They say harmonizing the tax system is what we should do. Some say we shouldn't increase taxes, and we shouldn't, place heavy taxes on some particular set of people. I don't know, you are the professionals here. Tell us what we need to understand about this.
Yeah, we need to look at, when you talk about harmonization, what are you looking at here? You're looking at adjusting tax systems across various jurisdictions in order to achieve a common objective. What are the objectives of the various internal revenue service in Nigeria, including the Federal Internal Inland Revenue Service? Is majorly to enhance revenue and to put systems in to simplify the tax process, right? So when you're talking about harmonization, now you look at the taxpayers, looking at the type of government that we have in Nigeria, you have the federal, state, and local government. And each of these tier of government has the different types of taxes that fall under their jurisdiction. Now you now see a taxpayer who, right, is being burdened by the local government authorities on the taxes due from them, the state government on the taxes due to them, from Federal Inland Revenue Service on the taxes due to them. You know, same person, different form of taxes. So, but what can tax harmonization do? Tax harmonization will bring this system together, right, such that it becomes a one-stop shop where you pay one tax and the part that relates to different tiers of government can go to the different tiers of government. I've seen this happen before, sometimes when I was consulting for the Kwara State Internal Revenue Service. What did they do? They look at a situation where they wanted to get into the informal sector, and the informal sector is a very difficult sector to get into. Now, and you realize that in this informal sector, there are taxes that are due to the local government and the ones due to the state government. They realized that the local government did not have what it takes to be able to even collect these taxes, apart from sending thugs to go and collect but the state government had the resources. They called all the local government chairmen together and told them, okay, you know what, the taxes due from you could help you collect it, right, but it will be collected by the state government. You will not be disturbing these taxpayers again. And that process actually worked, because they looked at the taxpayer was paying one single unit and it could spread the payments over a period of time, and the thing worked. So this is a simplified process when you talk about tax harmonization. And you know, with this you find that a number of them were more than willing to pay their taxes. So, and it brought a number of them into the tax net. So I agree that there's no need to increase any or introduce any new form of taxes, but we can bring people into the tax net. And when we're able to bring a lot of people in the tax net, of course revenue will automatically be enhanced.
Great stuff. Now let me ask you, madam, what kind of people are we expecting at this gathering, and tell us more about what we should expect and where it will be happening.
Okay, thank you. The 24th annual tax conference will be holding in Abuja. The venue is the International Conference Center, right there in Abuja. And the date is from 17th, Tuesday, 17th May to 20th of May, 2022. The conference is open to everybody. I say everybody because it is not only taxpayers or tax practitioners or people that are in practice. Because whether you are a taxpayer, whether you are a tax practitioner, whether you are an administrator, the development of this nation should be a priority that should be at your heart. So because of that, we have made the conference open. For members, they will register with 100,000 naira. Wow. Non-members will register with 105,000 naira. And there are so many papers that we have lined up for this conference. And we have invited seasoned speakers to speak to these papers. And I believe that participants will have worth for their time and for their money. Because the issue of development, social economic development, is paramount. Now there are so many things happening globally, and Nigeria needs to look inwards. And the only way we can do that is by sitting down and let's have a conversation. Let us discuss. Every tiers of government, everybody that have the love of this nation at heart, we need to converse. How do we move our country forward? Getting loans abroad now is difficult because of the caution that is being given by international organizations. So we need to run this country in a way that we will say we will be proud of what we have. Thank you.
Beautiful. It's true. We must take into cognizance all of the comments from the likes of IMF and World Bank. That's what you're saying. You know, talking about the warnings and all of that. I know you have something to say about the paper presentations and what should be our take home at this gathering.
I surely do. In addition to what the chairman of the annual tax conference has said, we're moving with trends, and the new trend is the fact that, you know, a conference like this is not only a physical conference, and
So
people can actually join the conference virtually. We have provision for people who want to join virtually, and I will encourage a lot of corporate organizations to send in their staff for the conference, because it promises to be rich and robust, because the number of the speakers that are coming, they are seasoned speakers. Then I would like to add, now it's not only about the paper, right? We are not just about the paper. On the last day of the conference, we have what is called the gala night. It's just to show that, you know what,
a little bit of relaxation.
We know how to relax, and you know, it's going to be
all about taxing.
No. So on the last day, you know, everybody will be able to dig it on that day, just to cap the whole event. And I tell you, at the end of the conference, of course, there's going to be a communique, because the conference basically is just for people to come together, right, to put their pantomimic heads together, right, and be able to deliberate on this theme. And of course, there will be opportunities for people to ask questions and for people to bring in their own views as to things. And after the conference, a communique will come out, and from the communique, areas where we need to advise the government on you know, we will surely do that. And I'm sure the government at this point, in terms of tax matters, I know that they have listening ears, you know, in anything that will improve the tax policy, ease of doing business in Nigeria, and whatever will enhance revenue.
Let me follow up with you, madam. You know, when we talk about multiplicity of taxes, which Dr. Sonny mentioned when he was, you know, many business people complain. We are journalists. We go out every day and they tell us this thing. They keep coming, and you know. So, do you think that we need to structure our tax system or something, or what can be done to avoid all of this? Are we going to be? Is it going to be part of what we'll be taking home at this conference?
Okay, thank you. Most times, what people call multiplicity of taxes are really not taxes. Some of them are fines, levies that are imposed, whether at the local government or at the state level, and they call it everything. They lump it up as taxes. But that notwithstanding, the issue of multiplicity of taxes can be addressed with the use of technology, and that is one of the things that we'll be taking home from this conference. By the time the taxes are harmonized and we are using technology, it will be easy at one point to be able to see the performance of a taxpayer. If a taxpayer has paid his taxes correctly to the federal, then the local government will not come and charge the taxpayer on that same head again. So I believe at the end of this conference, from the recommendations that will be made to government, we'll be able to move forward. You know, the Finance Act that the government is bringing out every year.
Yeah.
It's all in a bid to make sure that our tax systems are up to date, so that we can have a law, we can have a system that will address our problem, a law that can be useful to our economy. From this conference, the discussions from this conference are going to have input in the next amendment to the Finance Act, and that will help a great deal.
That's really very important. I want you to say something around automation, because I don't think we can simplify taxation if we don't automate.
Automation, automation synonymous to digitization.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, without automation, we can't move forward. And if you look at what a number of the Internal Revenue Services are doing right now, you will find out that they have engaged seriously in automation. We take a cue from the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The Federal Inland Revenue Service introduced what is called Tax Pro Max. And with the Tax Pro Max, from the comfort of your office or your home, you can apply, you can file your returns, you can apply for your tax clearance, and at the click of a button, you get your tax clearance. The Lagos State Internal Revenue Service also has what is called the e-tax. You know, that again, you can, you know, make your payment online, you know, file for your returns, and also you can request for your tax clearance certificate online. And this alone is not enough. because when we're looking at automation, we need to look at automation in the context of it being very easy for everybody to be able to pay their taxes or do any of their tax business online, whether on Android or on desktop. So at this point, we are expecting automation in the area of probably all the internal revenue services being linked together, and at the touch of a button, regardless of where you are, right, you can deal with any of the internal revenue service seamlessly. And that's why I give kudos to the Joint Tax Board with the introduction of the unified tax identification number. So what that number does, rather than me, because this moment I can be resident in Oyo State, the next moment I can be in Ogun State, but the present system, the current tax system is such that I have a payer ID in Ogun State, I have in Oyo State, I have in Lagos State. But right now, with the unique JTB tax certification number, one tax certification number identifies you for all the locations, so regardless of which state you are in. But they can still monitor whatever you are doing, and that's part of the harmonization and part of the stuff that the federal government is really pushing, so that it will be easy and seamless for taxpayers to be able to deal. And a lot of other third parties like consultants are already working behind the scene to bring up applications that will, share and shake with the systems of various internal revenue service to make this happen.
Interesting stuff. As we wrap up this segment, I'd like you to say, what more do you want Nigerians to know maybe about this conference? It's a 2-in-1 question. And you touched on the Finance Act, which is very important for me. I had a lot of sessions around the Finance Act on this program. Tell us, do you think that we are really getting it right? And what are your expectations after the conference?
Okay, thank you. The tax system in Nigeria, we might not be where we want to be, but definitely we are moving forward.
True.
And I believe with conversations like this, we will definitely get there very soon. That is my hope. And the conference, my expectation is that stakeholders will come together. Let us brainstorm, let us discuss, and come up. It is not enough for us to be talking individually, but this is a body that the government listens to. When we come up and we give our thoughts, we put a communique across to the government, I believe that the next Finance Act, it will be captured into it. And I believe that the outcome of that conference is going to help in the economic development of this nation. Thank you.
Great one there. I know you say something around that as we wrap up.
Yeah, the conference on its own is bringing a whole lot of stakeholders together. And these stakeholders, comprise the tax administrators, taxpayers, and the tax practitioners. And these are the people that are affected by the various tax policies and the tax legislations. And they're the ones who are feeling the heat on policies that are not friendly. And this conference will offer an opportunity for people to come together and be able to hear their views. And in hearing their views, these are part of the things that is going to be captured in the communique. And we'll be able to advise the government appropriately. And the things that we believe could be incorporated into upcoming Finance Act will be incorporated there to be able to make life easier for people. Thank you very much. Very
interesting conversation. I know the president was supposed to be here, CITN, but is unavoidably absent. He's a friend of the house, so we really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let me start with you, Dr. Yemi Sonny. It's good to see you in the studio live. He's the vice chairman of the ATC committee. We wish you all the best.
Thank you very
we'll
much.
Keep a tab. TVC will always be ready to partner with you to at least publicize all of this one way or the other. And I must thank you so much, Mrs. Ruth AROKOYO, who is the chairman. A lot of work. I know 24th ATC. I know a lot of work there as we move towards this very day. We also wish you all the best. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
All right then.